Two solar eclipses in the summer of 2018. Also a powerful lunar eclipse on Guru Poornima. Spiritual practices and bringing the details of the world into the heart will be important. Okay, so I'm making this video about the upcoming eclipse cycles that we have this summer. You can see this is a chart for July 12th. There are two wide eclipses. It's actually July 13th if you go by sort of Greenwich Mean Time. But July 13th, it's a new moon partial solar eclipse in Gemini. And it's one of two partial solar eclipses happening this year. And so this is an article that I write from a great magazine called LA Yoga. So I'm just kind of going over this a little bit. But what I wrote is notice how your communication skills and information are either beneficial or detrimental in your life. How can you speak and listen more clearly? These are big issues at this time. Around July 13th. This partial eclipse is in the nakshatra of Punarvasu, ruled by the Divine Mother energy. This brings greater meaning to the information you are gathering. So, again, this is, July 13th is when we'll experience it. This is July 12th. So, this is going to be, and it's a partial solar eclipse, which means that it's a wide orb. You see that it's happening about 15 degrees away from Rahu, and then the second one also happens at the end of Cancer, which is also wide. So it's two partial eclipses. So this whole Gemini-Cancer axis is going to be really important this summer, where Gemini and Cancer fall in your natal chart, and just for the world, stereotypically, these are big themes. Now, opposite that is going to be the lunar eclipse, which happens on July 27th. Now, this is not only a full moon and a lunar eclipse, but it's also called Guru Poornima, which is the day to worship your guru. Very auspicious. And it's also going to be joined, this Mars Ketu. It's going to be very intense. Full moon on Guru Poornima this year on July 27th. I'll advance the chart so you see that. But again, these qualities of Gemini and Cancer will be very important because the sun cycles are the initiation. So when sun and moon join, like they're doing here in Gemini, that's the sort of spear of the arrow and where it's going, right? And then the full moon is the sort of balancing point. So the full moon lunar eclipse on Guru Poornima is sort of harmonizing this Gemini Cancer energy. But we should expect a very transformative summer, especially around the Gemini and Cancer themes, which have to do with information, skills, speech, and all types of communication being integrated into the heart. That's what Cancer is. So this is how Gemini becomes Cancer. You can think of like a young child sort of gathering a lot of information, and they're playful and curious. And then that play and the development of those skills and that language and that interface of Gemini becomes a feeling in their heart. And it forms this emotional state. So this is how Gemini becomes Cancer. Again, you can look at children, and even obviously we can also look at adults and the skills that we develop and the things we are interested in, the things we say to each other, the interactions that we have, and how those things create a feeling in our heart. So, for example, you have a lot of interests, you have, gathered a lot of information about many things, and some of them you don't bother with anymore. Others you've pursued with a lot more interest. Astrology is probably one of those things. But think of how many things you started to study, but they didn't really grab you. They didn't really evoke your heart. Right? So this is how the Gemini curiosity and playfulness and desire to understand how things are put together, that's how this energy leads to the heart, or how the heart is how we receive that energy. So all of these skills and all this curiosity and all of this stimulation creates a feeling in you. That feeling might be stress, like many things that you have investigated and then you went, The reason you wind up going, rather than, oh yeah, I love this, is because it doesn't captivate your heart. So this is a huge time this summer to evaluate your skills, those people around you that you interface with, and how those things form your mental and emotional state, and to make corrections. If you're restless and stressed out about something, it's because you're feeding yourself something that's not very good. You're overstimulating certain parts of your mind and nervous system, and it's creating a feeling in your heart that's not settled, right? And we're eating through all senses. We need to feed our mind something good, just like we need to feed our body something good. So, Gemini is very much about a lot of different environments, a lot of different experiences. And again, some of them promote emotional and spiritual well-being, others don't. And if we're disconnected from our heart, we might not notice the difference. This is why we need to pay attention to our intuition and our emotional state and our deeper heart. And more deeply embrace those things that give the feeling of joy and peace and love, and let go of the things that don't. One practice that's good, that really anchors our intellect in the heart, is saying mantra. Mantra is very much related to Mercury and to Gemini. And mantra itself calms the heart. When we're meditating, we're trying to calm the restless emotional waters that are signified by Cancer, because Cancer is ruled by the moon, which is the mind. So mantra, which has to do with Mercury and has to do with Gemini, calms the heart automatically. After you say long mantras, you're already in a meditative state. You don't have to learn how to meditate after you say long mantras, especially long, detailed, and complicated mantras. We have some mantras that are shorter that are also good. Like I have my mala here, right? I can say mantra here. Of course, you want to subscribe, but even if you are subscribed, you want to click this little bell that says get notified about every new video. You want to click that, and then you will be notified, and it has the little ringer on after you do that. So make sure to do that. That's like my guru mantra, right? and to just kind of keep the mind anchored each moment in the present. But then we can sit down for a meditation and do longer mantras, like because we're sitting there, ones that aren't as easy to memorize. Like I say, the Lalita Sahasranama, which is the 1,000 names of the Divine Mother, or the Sahasranama Stotram, Srimata Sri Maharagni Srimhat Simhasaneshwari Chiragni Kunda Sambhuta Devarkurya Samudjita Udyadbanu Sahasrabha Chaturbahushmanvita Ragasvarupa Pasaja Krodankaranka Sojvala Manorupex Gotanda Panchatan Matashayaka Najarna Prabhabara Prajabramanda Mandala. It's hard to stop once you start. It's like, but it's this energy of the Divine Mother. So when you sit down and you say that, you vocalize that, it raises the vibration of the mind and anchors it in the heart. So there's a great capacity for this practice over the summer. And you see we have on July 13th is the new moon in Gemini. On August 11th, it's the new moon, the partial solar eclipse in Cancer. So, as I say there, this is a day of high emotional passion and drama. There could be a connection to psychic ability, but you may also pick up the emotions of others on this partial solar eclipse of August 11th. This leads to a lot of empathy, but may feel ungrounded as your boundaries feel confused. So make sure to be in an emotionally safe environment on that day, on the new moon in Cancer. And so the nakshatra of that new moon partial solar eclipse is Aslesha. So there's an entwining energy about Aslesha. This is where a deep and loving embrace can become smothering and suffocating. So it's best to get entangled in pure connections, not ones based on your desires, on August 11th. So that's on the solar, you see it's right here on the 11th. That's the partial solar eclipse in Cancer on August 11th. So as you see, this is the one on July 13th. It'll be 13th. Sun, Moon come together at the end of Gemini in Punarvasu. Then a month later, Sun and Moon come together in Aslesha Nakshatra. And then we have so this is the Guru Poornima solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, exact conjunction with Mars and Ketu. Moon is right in between. You see, because the sun is 10:30 and the moon is, well, that's where you're going to have the exact full lunar eclipse, right on Ketu and Mars. So again, this date, July 27th, very intense day. Could be some, extreme emotional volatility. There could be some world events that are stressful and difficult, including like some natural disasters, especially a couple days before, like July 24th, 25th, 26th, as the moon passes over Saturn and gets near the ecliptic. When the sun and moon line up like this and get near these eclipse points, there's a lot of energy on the earth, especially on full moons, particularly near eclipses, because all of the bodies are lined up and the magnetic gravitational force is magnified, especially when you also have Saturn close and Mars, retrograde Mars right there. So Mars is going to be very big in the sky on this lunar eclipse. So when you look up in the sky and see this lunar eclipse, Mars is going to be extremely bright right next to the eclipsed moon. Should be pretty intense for sure. So you'll watch the moon getting eclipsed and a big bright Mars right there. Now, again, it's exalted Mars as well, and it's very close to Ketu. So this could be, again, just quite an explosive time and explosive emotions for sure. And, again, all of these things magnify based on wherever the houses fall in your natal chart, right? Like I'm Gemini, so it's happening in my 8th house. Someone who's Taurus, it's happening in their 10th house. So, I have a member site where I evaluate these things specifically for each sign all the time on an ongoing basis. You can check out the link for that below the video. But this will be really important. As it says, the full moon total solar eclipse in Capricorn is today. It's also a very sacred day called Guru Poornima, the full moon of the Guru. So honor your teachers and put into practice what they teach. Guru Poornima, again, it's another big part of this. So this is very good for yoga and disciplined spiritual practices, including like mantras and the things I was just talking about. So honor your teachers, put into practice what they teach. Be careful, as in addition to devotion, full moons can lead to fanaticism and excessive emotionality. It's better to channel that emotion into your love of teachers and spirituality today, rather than into worldly relationships, which may ultimately be disappointing. Especially today on the full moon of the Guru. And the nakshatra is Shravana, which literally means hearing. So listen to the song in your heart today and share it with others. Connect to the silence within and let it lead you to the source of peace. And again, hearing and listening also has to do, again, with mantra and perhaps bhajans or kirtan as well. So again, quite transformative month and a half ahead, as we have July 13, we have this new moon in Gemini and the partial solar eclipse. Then 2 weeks later, we have the full lunar eclipse, very powerful, right on the node. And then 2 weeks later, and then on August 11th, we have the partial solar eclipse in Cancer, which closes that eclipse loop. So this energy of skills, interests, discrimination, communication being anchored in the heart is a big theme. Notice your consumption of news. Notice your consumption of and your relationship to the facts and to truth and to illusion, and how well you measure other people's responses to data and information and things like that. Notice all of that now. How stressed out you are by good information and the real story rather than the pseudo story, and how that makes you feel. All these things are quite important for the next couple months.